Hey drummers, hope you're doing well. Shout out to superstar channel member Aaron, who's playing with us today. This is just the idea of getting a bit funky on your hi-hat. If you're just getting started with your drum grooves, and here I'm playing a 4 on the floor, like classic. In this case, it's sort of a funk thing, isn't it? But it's a 4 on the floor. In other words, the bass drum is going 1, 2, 3, 4, and the snare drum is hitting 2 and 4, a classic backbeat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, which for music that you want people to dance to, as far as I'm concerned, is about as good as it gets. Now, sometimes you do want to get more busy, and sometimes you do want to add more, and it can give the groove great feel. You've always got to think about being tasteful, I think, with your grooves. But what drummers often do when they start to add a bit more to their grooves is they start to play more snare drums and more bass drums. So they start going. All that stuff, just an example. And that can be great. It could be great. But for me, sometimes, very often, it's too much because I just love this, right? And I think it's fair to say a lot of musicians who you'll play with in bands, they love that as well, let's face it. So for me, great way to add that variety is actually go to the hi-hat and add a bit more there, because I just feel like it can, if you keep the kick and the snare rock solid, everybody's grooving, everybody's dancing, you look out playing a gig, everybody's head is nodding, everyone's loving it. And you can just add a bit of spice on the hi-hat. It just doesn't interfere, the frequency doesn't interfere quite in the same way. So. Again, not always. Sometimes you do want to change up the bass and the snare. There's no hard and fast rules in drumming or in music. But this, for me, just works so much of the time. It's a winner. So let's look at one particular simple example here, and then we'll, as usual, on the channel members page, I'll put 2 or 3 more examples to play along to in practice along format. So here we're going to go. So really dead simple. All we're playing here is a straight 8s feel on the hi-hat with your right hand, so to speak, your right hand. The bass drum is, like I said, a 4 on the floor. The snare drum plays 2 and 4. So at its heart, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And in this example here, the first example, the left stick is gonna, or the not lead stick, or the not right hand, the snare hand, so to speak, is gonna move up to the hi-hat on 1 and 2 and a 3 and 4. What we might call the of beat 2, right? 1 and 2 and a 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and a 3 and 4 and. So what if you played it on a snare drum, what you might call a skip note, right? 1 and 2 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and a 3 and 4 and. But we're taking it up to the hi-hat instead. Here we're playing with a swung 16th note feel because that fits the music, but that doesn't have to be the case. It would work just as well in a straight feel. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So let's roll that nice and slow. 1 and 2 and a 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and a 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and a 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and a 3 and 4 and. From there you could do more skip notes with that left stick. You get a really funky feel going. Like I say, on the channel members page, I'll put some more of those variations on there. Now, when it gets more busy and you start playing right, left more and more, 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a. Like I was doing there might be times where you want your right stick to come to the snare drum because you're going 1 and a 2 and a 3 and 4 and 1 and a 2 and a 3 and 2 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. So whether your right or left comes to the snare, sort of depends how you're playing it, and actually doesn't really matter as long as age-old rule, as long as it feels good. But on the channel members page, on the examples I'll give, I'll put whether I would play with a right or left on the snare. And then finally, some drummers might say, well, you can just do this with all with one stick on the hi-hat, and yes, you can. and that's totally cool. That involves a bit more, well, just typically I would say a drummer who's a bit more experienced and has a bit of finger control going, and certainly has the skill going and the smoothness ready to play that really nicely. So this is, as often with these, this video is aimed at sort of beginners, improvers who just want to get a bit of spice going on their hi-hat. Thanks for watching as always. As I say, check out the channel members page now for a few different variations here in practice along format, where you can hit play, groove along with them, see the notation on the screen, all the rest of it. Thanks for watching. Shout out to Aaron. See you soon.